Welcome to Blessed Mess. This channel is all about reselling. Please like and subscribe if you like the video. Hey there, welcome to Blessed Mess. Most days I try to figure out ways to find stuff that I can sell on eBay for free. And, trying to find things for free is harder and harder these days. But I have a pretty good relationship with our public library. And whenever the public library gets some donations of books in, they can't take all the books. I mean, there's no way to do that. So I've built a relationship with the librarian, and we talk all the time. And I just said, like, what do you do with all your old books? Like, whenever you're getting rid of them, or what happens? And he's like, I just put them out on a shelf in the lobby, and they're just all free. I just put free, and that's how I do it. And maybe 3 years ago, I was like, oh, that's great. And most of the stuff was magazines and romance novels and cookbooks or how-to type books. A lot of it was that, which he couldn't really, lend out at the library. People aren't interested in that stuff, especially that magazine. So he'd keep them for a little while, and then he'd just put them on that shelf, and he'd give them away. I have kind of been talking to him like, these are the kinds of things that I look for whenever I'm looking for books, and I can take these books off your hands if you ever have any kind of books like this, like history, like local state history. He's interested in that, and I am too. So he takes all those books in and he wants to disperse them, so whether he can use them in the library or not. So I was talking to him like, I'm interested in history, I'm interested in art and music and that kind of stuff. Like anything that has anything to do with that, I like it. Audiobooks, I'm trying to think of some other subject areas that I told him about. So art, history, audiobooks, anything like that, I'll take those. Okay, what other free boxes are there out there in the world, But you probably have one in your neighborhood or in your neck of the woods. You have a place where there's a free box of books and that kind of thing. You have to be picky. You have to kind of cultivate the relationship with people, like putting stuff in the free box. I don't pick up everything on that. Obviously I wouldn't take everything because it doesn't. A lot of it's good. They're good books, but they don't have eBay value. So today I noticed I kind of hit a good load of books. Or today, I say today, it's been this past week, but I want to talk about it today. That there was a good load of books that were dropped off, and he couldn't use them in the library because they weren't library books. They were just they were just art books. And so some of them are old textbooks. So all these books are from like 1977 to 1983. So that time frame, it must have been a gentleman that was a artist and went to art school, and he had art books, and this is what happened. So, and this is a book called Introduction to Design. It's by William Reed. He's a pretty well-known author for these textbooks. So you'll see these from like 1970 to 1980. You'll see these. If you see this in the wild, they're kind of cool. It's got a great design on the front of it. Obviously, it's Introduction to Design. It's got a great design. But, all this is before computers. So this is 1978. So it's like shapes, in design, and what is color strength, So really cool book. I have not listed this yet. I just wanted to read through it and look at it because the elements of design are still valid even in the computer world. So William Reed, you can look for that. There's another book called Graphic Arts. And this is old offset printing, like you use a razor blade and you cut, you have to actually physically cut letters and that kind of thing. So this is offset printing or block printing with wood block. Really highly technical book. It's from 1980. but you can see how it's a very technical book. See all the type settings and everything. Back when there was a typewriter, not an inkjet printer or whatever. But it's pretty fascinating. This book is got all that old block ink lettering stuff. So that's it's a $5 book. I mean, this is a $5, but I got it for free. So we listed it for $5 with shipping. And then there was a lot of other books that were like very elementary, first year in high school type, acrylic paint, how to do oil, watercolor. There was a bunch of those. There's probably like 10 books, 6 to 10 books like that were like textbooks, but they weren't like the William Reed book, but they were more kind of go through the book and work through the book. So that's really cool, because whoever was the artist was a real artist. Because the next thing that this is the reason I want to make the video, because I thought it was very interesting, is that they applied to art schools, back in the 80s. So I don't know if you can see that very well. There you go. It's Corcoran. I think is it Corcoran? Yeah, Corcoran Art School. It's in Washington, D.C., as you can see the monument there. All of these guys have portfolios in them of what student work looks like. Some of it I can't show you because there's some nudity in it, but yeah, it's all got that. But it also has like the application to submit an application to the school. They never filled this out, but this was just in there, and it had this artwork, which was really fascinating. And it also showed like what the freshman foundation, what the lessons or the courses that you would take. So this is like the admission guide, the course catalog, which they really put a lot of effort into their course catalog because they're an art school. It makes sense that they would really do a good job on that. But this, I listed this for $30. That's pretty much the going rate on these art school curriculum portfolio things. So I listed it for $30. They also had one from the Kansas City Art Institute, and all this is like early 80s. So this Art Institute, it did not. It has its separate portfolio. So it doesn't have any art in it. It has its own portfolio. You can pull the portfolio, and as I'm hitting my lights and everything else, trying to give you something you can look at without any nudity in it. But anyway, it's artistic work. It doesn't really matter about that. I just don't want to get banned over YouTube over something stupid. So so it's got its own portfolio, and you can tell how old it is. Look at the catalog. So yeah, this is like, I think this is 81. But they're students. So you'll see some of those, and it still has like the application that that no one ever filled out, but has the application in it. So that's Kansas City Art Institute. Now I'm in Eastern Tennessee, so these are really far away places. Washington D.C. What I thought was one of the more interesting one was this place, Parsons. Parsons is in New York City, and it's in Los Angeles orange, New York City apple. It's got a crease in the cover, but this Parsons is where Norman Rockwell went. It's where there's like a ton of people. There's fashion designers, Tom Ford. There's just fashion designers, architects. New York is more, fashion design, I think. in architecture, and it's got some painting and that kind of thing. But they're older school, so it was called Parsons, and then in Los Angeles it was Otis Parsons, but now I think it's just Otis. And I think in Los Angeles I think is more painting and architecture, and it's a lot. I feel like it's probably more, the Los Angeles place is a lot more diverse, racially diverse, and so you'll see in the '80s they had a lot more uh, artwork that was Hispanic artwork, Asian artwork. I guess Hispanic and Asian inspired artwork. I don't know exactly how to term it, but that there's that urban gritty graffiti style artwork that was going on in the '80s. I think that Otis was probably on the forefront of that. Like they were doing a lot of that and really pushing the envelope of that kind of artwork, and it's really great. I mean, this is the New York side. So this is 81. I think this is 82, 83. I'm not really sure. Can't remember. The other one's 81, 82, and the other one's 82, 83. But you can see like they have fashion design and they have some graphic design and artwork. I mean, if you're in New York, you're probably going to be doing a lot of graphic design. But you can tell by when I turn to Los Angeles, it looks a lot different. I think there's like this skate culture being on the edge of things. It's just a much different. The schools are very different. Not that one's better than the other. It's just they're just different. And it has its portfolio in it. So what's cool about this one? It's got the apple and the orange, and I listed it for $28 because it's got that crease. There's a lot of famous artists that have come from there, and designers. And then this one is this is the 81, 82. So oranges, apples. And so Parsons back then, you can see it's more, fashion. 1981, and that kind of wild. But it's got the course catalog in it. And so Parsons is New York, LA, and Paris. So here's one. Now I have a feeling that this is by a notable artist because he did a lot. I'm going to have to look up his name, and I'll probably just put it in. But I have a feeling, and they don't list who the artists are in here. They just say sophomore or whatever. But this one is really reminiscent of this. There's a guy, man, I'm going to space his name, but I'm going to put it on there. He does a lot of, his art was inspired by World War II propaganda, and this looks like some World War II propaganda, so this might be his art, which that's super cool. He's one of their notable alumni of the 80s. So I looked into it, and the guy's name that I thought might be the person is Lawrence Gipe, and it's just a hunch because he did World War II styled propaganda paintings and like mixed media, and that one picture that I was looking at, this guy, this mixed media looks like something that he might do. Now he got his master's in fine art from Otis Parsons in Los Angeles, in 1986, and this is from 81, 82. So it's possible that he got his undergrad at that time and then later on got his MFA. I don't know, but it looks really similar to that. But I like his work. There's a lot of the artists that are notable artists that went to Otis that I really enjoy their work. Just you can look them up on YouTube or just go on Otis Notable Alumni Los Angeles or Otis Parsons, Parsons Otis, whatever it is, Otis Parsons, and look them up, and you can click Notable Alumni, and it's got them for every decade. And Lawrence Skype is one of them. I just like his work. Um, he does. Uh, but anyway, I think it's kind of cool. Their artwork is really cool, and I just stumbled upon this for free. So I listed all of those course catalogs with the portfolios or the fine art that's in them for $30. Which there's one that's listed from 1974 that's like $75. Now mine's not. They're not. Mine are not in pristine condition. They were, they're, scuffed up, and they look like they've been in a drawer or whatever. They're not perfect, but if somebody wanted to have that, they could, and they're nice. I mean, you could probably, if you wanted to, you could frame them or whatever if you wanted to. But yeah, I listed every one of them for $30, free shipping. So I'll probably make about $26 on each one of them. So yeah, I just started looking for art books, and I've done pretty well with art books, whether it's Renoir or Picasso or whatever. If it's one of the masters, you can't really get. Um, you have to have kind of a special licensing to have like Picasso in your book. But so if you find the masters, that are there, that's great. But I just stumbled across this. This is something I'll start looking for more often is these art catalogs because they probably made a lot of them, but they put portfolios in them. So that's kind of cool that they have these portfolios inside of them, and I could sell those, and they're cheap to ship. A couple pieces of cardboard and a poly bag, and you've shipped it. So I was really excited to see that. I got all that for free. If I sell even one thing, I've made my money back. So I think the cheapest book that I had was $5 that I'm going to have listed. So I wanted to say thanks to everybody that watches my videos. If you like it, push the like button for me. That'd be great. And if you watch more than one video, subscribe to me. So then you can get and click the notification bell. If you do that, then you'll be able to see my videos come up more often. I'm trying to make as many videos as I can whenever I can have time to do it. And I think that it's one of the things I enjoy making videos, and I want to make them for you guys and give you some helpful tips about just trying to find things. So figure out where your free box of stuff could come from, whether it's from a thrift store that gets rid of ephemera and paper goods. A lot of thrift stores do not want, if they get a bunch of stuff in from an auction or something, they don't want the paper goods. They want the hard goods that's going to sell, the little statuettes or the knickknacks or whatever they're going to sell. Talk to your thrift store owner and say, do you ever have paper that just comes in that looks like trash? I would like to go through it. You can talk to people, and they may do that, especially if they buy stuff at auction. They get a bunch of stuff in, even if it's old magazines. They're like, I don't care what kind of magazines they are. You just they don't have to be Life magazine. They can be anything, and you can find out that kind of thing. So several of the places that I've been able to get free stuff from has been ephemera or paper goods, like political advertising and stuff like that they just get stuff and they're like, oh, this was just in the box. I figured it was just packing material or it was just in there. But anyway, find out where you can find free stuff. Mine is at a library where they take in stuff from the community and then they just make a free box. I've noticed that at a lot of public libraries they do that. And just because it's in the free box does not mean it doesn't have value. If it's historical, looks historical, if it's older than 1950, pick it up. And then you can take it home and then you can thumb through it and see what it is. And if it's not worth anything, then just take it to Goodwill. And You can, and maybe somebody can find value of it there, and you help Goodwill out. But that's something that I have been cultivating over the last 2 years. Is like, I need to find places where I can find free books, free paper goods, pamphlets, brochures, things that I can sell. So I hope this has been helpful, that you can look for things, especially art books, art, music, history, those things sell. If it's the weirder that it is, the better. The more artistic it looks, the better. So God bless you. Thank you for watching my video, and we're praying for you here in Kentucky.